We had a very busy day of NHL news and rumors to take a look at here today. We got some trade talk around a few teams like the Vancouver Canucks, as well as several young players might be getting a fresh start in the NHL here coming soon, including players on the Rangers, the Canadiens, the Bruins, and the Canucks. We had a very busy day of NHL waiver activity with 43 players on waivers, plus we had a waiver claim from yesterday. We had a trade between the Flyers and the San Jose Sharks. We've got some injury updates, some signings, and more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have lots to discuss here in today's video. Before we kick things off with the news, I just want to wish a very happy birthday to a couple of NHL legends here today. I know they're not going to likely see this video, but it is the birthday of Muriel, Lemieux, and Patrick Roy. I had forgotten that those two legends actually share a birthday. So big day for each of them. And I hope they had a wonderful, fantastic day. I know Patrick Roy, of course, would have been on the ice with the New York Islanders. Some updates from the Department of Player Safety today. Of course, we had a crazy game in Florida between the Panthers and the Lightning yesterday. We saw player safety respond today, and to be honest, I'm quite surprised with their reaction. We've got 2 fines and 2 hearings coming up, and they're all one-sided for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I know the fines go to Gage Concalves and Roman Schmidt. The hearings are for J.J. Mosher and Scott Saber. Now, I'm not surprised that any of that happened. I'm just surprised that there's nothing for Florida's side. I mean, you know, the Verhaeghe hit was just as bad, right? So I'm surprised Verhaeghe's not getting a call. And, of course, near the end of the game, Niko Mikkola, who was ejected from the game, continued to play. Now, that rule technically is supposed to bring an automatic suspension. We've heard nothing. Now, was it intentional? No, it probably wasn't. It's preseason action. The game means nothing. By this point, players getting kicked out left, right, and center, like 300 minutes in penalties. I'm sure Mikkola probably wouldn't have minded hitting the showers. But, at the end of the day, a rule's a rule, and why bother, not enforcing it? We question things. I know a lot of people just think this was a one-sided affair, and, it does kind of look that way. I'm just surprised at absolutely nothing. I mean, it was not a one-sided affair. It's not like only one team has been doing, some stuff that deserves some supplemental discipline in this situation in a couple of preseason games that they've played. And really, again, the Lightning responded because of lack of action from officials and player safety for the previous stuff. So, I don't know, just the whole thing's crazy. There's no need of having this ridiculous type of behavior in preseason. So I do think that something has to be done for the future. I know there's going to be less games moving forward, which is good. But I'm just shocked that the Panthers got absolutely nothing out of all that shenanigans. Of course, as I mentioned, we also had a trade today between the Sharks and the Flyers. The Flyers traded the contract of Ryan Ellis to San Jose, who still has this year and one more year left on it, $6.25 million. And they also sent a 6th-round pick in the 2026 draft in exchange for Carl Grundstrom, who's in the last year of his contract of $1.8 million, and prospect Artem Guriev, who's in the final year of his ELC. He is a 22-year-old prospect defenseman. So with all that said, then Grundstrom later ended up on waivers for Philly. So they obviously don't intend to keep him. They're probably going to send him to the minors, assuming he clears, which I suspect he likely will. He is one of the many players we'll talk about here in the waiver section coming up shortly. The Flyers get a bunch of cap space because they come ahead by about $4.5 million out of the gates. And then if Grundstrom either gets picked up or demoted, they'll get at the very least $1.15 million back as well, or the full 1.8, depending if he's buried in the minors or off to another club. So the Flyers just got themselves at least $5.5 to $5.6 million, maybe a little more, depending on how things play out in cap space. So all in all, a good move by them. The Sharks have $34 million now in dead money. So there seems to be the graveyard for some of these contracts that are for players that are never going to play again. Now, as I mentioned as well, a couple of signings here today. The Blackhawks signed Matt Grzelcyk to a 1-year, $1 million deal. He was in training camp on a PTO. Clearly, they were impressed enough to give him a contract. So the whole league, the veteran minimum, you could say, the 1-year, $1 million deal. And Vegas also signs Jeremy Davis, another defenseman. He gets a 2-year deal. Looks like a 2-way contract, $1.15 million. at the NHL level and $425,000 at the AHL level. So a couple of signings there. Winnipeg also confirmed today that Cole Perfetti is dealing with an ankle injury and is going to be out week to week. So he's most likely pretty much a guarantee to miss the home opener, or the season opener, I should say, and could even miss a few more games than that as well. So we'll have to wait and see where things go. And now, of course, besides the waivers, we saw some notable prospects be cut and demoted to their AHL teams today. A couple of notable ones. Montreal decided to send Florian Jacki, Owen Beck, and Adam Engstrom to the minors. They all had really good camps, and I think will all factor into their future. But for right now, gone to the minors. The Senators sent down Stephen Halliday. He had a really good camp as well. Boston sent down Matt Poitras as well. So some prominent, more noteworthy prospects there getting cut at kind of the last minute. 43 players, as I mentioned, on waivers, including 7 goaltenders. Goaltenders include Ottawa Senators young goalie Matt Sogard's first year of needing waivers. We've also got Nico Dawes with New Jersey, Michael DiPietro with Boston, Clay Stevenson in Washington, Caden Primo with the Hurricanes, Capo Kakinen with Montreal, and Cal Peterson with Minnesota. So a bunch of goalies. There's a few of them that very well could get picked up tomorrow. We'll find out. The skaters include Jonathan Aspero of Boston, as well as Matej Blumel and Alex Steves. The Sabres have Josh Doon, Jack Auken, and Keaton Middleton from Colorado. The Red Wings have a couple of veteran defensemen, Eric Gustafson and Justin Hall. Edmonton has Max Jones. Florida has Jack Studnicka. Besides Cal Peterson, Minnesota also has Tyler Pitlick. The Montreal Canadiens have Sammy Blais on waivers. That one's surprising. I thought, again, a player who had a really good camp but didn't quite make the cut here. The Devils have Kalen Addison, John Gruden, Nathan Legare, and Mike Hardman. Ottawa has Hayden Hodgson, Ollie Lexell. Again, another surprise player. I thought he might make the team. Yan Yannick, Arthur Kaliev also had a pretty good showing. And Lassie Thompson. The Flyers have Carl Grundstrom, who they just acquired, as I mentioned. The Sharks have Pavel Wojenda. The Kraken have John Hayden. The Blues have Colton Ellis and Hunter Skinner. Tampa has Declan Carlisle. The Leafs have Matt Benning, Dakota Mermis, Michael Pezzetta, and Henry Thrun. Utah has Curtis Douglas. Vegas has Jonas Ronberg. Winnipeg has Walker Dewar and Ville Heinola. And Washington has Ethan Frank. So we'll find out tomorrow if any of these players get picked up. 5 o'clock Eastern time on Monday is when opening night rosters need to be submitted. Now keep in mind they also have to be cap compliant. So in some of these scenarios, you're going to see teams send players down, submit the opening roster as cap compliant. Then there's going to be some guys that can go to LTIR and then they can call guys back up. So there's going to be some of these players that have been sent down, especially like your guys that don't need waivers, and will be recalled for the first game. Just a matter of kind of some cap logistics. Now, as I mentioned, we also had a waiver claim today with the Hurricanes taking goaltender Brandon Bussey off the waivers from the Florida Panthers, which I assume might explain why they put Primo on waivers today. They might see him as an upgrade. So that's another interesting claim. As I mentioned, we've got a bunch of other guys there, so we'll see if there could be more claims tomorrow. Dave Payne-Noda made some comments today on a podcast appearance regarding expansion. Of course, we know that expansion is likely coming. It's hard to pinpoint a timeline exactly. Personally, my gut feeling and opinion on the matter is that it's probably going to be a couple of years at least before a team enters the league, but I would not be surprised if we get an announcement sometime within the next calendar year. By the time this season is over, or the next summer, like when we get to the Stanley Cup final or something along those lines, I'd be surprised if we make it that far and we don't have some kind of announcement. But Pagnotta says that Atlanta is pretty much as much of a lock as you could get, like Utah was when we knew the Coyotes had to move. News, if you want an NHL team in Atlanta for the third time, that group, obviously there's multiple groups there too, so we don't know who's leading the pack there, but he also says Houston is not far behind and that Arizona again is in the mix. Now we've talked before that there's kind of a committee or group of people there in Arizona kind of laying some groundwork for how things could work for the NHL to potentially return. In terms of trade rumors here today, the Vancouver Canucks are being reported by a few outlets, including Dave Pagnotta of thefourthperiod.com, saying they are actively looking for a middle six forward, especially with the injury to Nils Höglander right now. They are keeping Jonathan Lekkerimäki. He's one of the few prospects that are going to be staying up and make the team. So obviously that's, a player that they're hoping can kind of fill in and do a good job. But again, if you have younger players like that, like they might not want some reinforcements and a little bit more experience in the short term. It's a big year, in my opinion, for Vancouver. They know they got the Quinn Hughes contract extension coming up in a year, and how the season goes is going to have a huge impact on that. So clearly, it's super important for Vancouver to have a good season, or it's going to have potentially grave consequences. So we'll have to see where things go. This is a move that may not have a catastrophic effect on it. I do like the fact that the Canucks have some healthy, hopefully, goaltending between Demko and Lankinen. Could be really solid. Their blue line's not too bad. They do have some interesting forwards. If Pettersson can bounce back, to me, they have a pretty good team, but they have to have some things go right for them, whereas a lot of things did not go right last year. So we will see. A middle six forward, particularly a center, would probably be ideal. But again, we'll have to see how things work out in that front. And as I mentioned, is probably going to be seeing in the coming days a lot of rumors around some youngerish, former highly regarded prospects that are kind of running out of rope with their franchises and might be looking to be moved and get a fresh start. That includes Vitaly Kravtsov with the Vancouver Canucks, who made a return to the NHL this year and got cut in training camp. So we'll see if a move there is in order for him to try to salvage the season. I know he came over from Russia expecting to play in the NHL, and we've seen him take his ball and go home multiple times before, so I don't know how that's going to go and if he's going to actually try to stick it out in Abbotsford and hope for a recall and try to make the best of it, or how that's going to play out. New York Rangers forward and former high pick Brennan Othmann as well. Othmann, again, did not make the team at a training camp this year. So, again, I do wonder if it's time that we might see his name starting to float out there for a fresh start. Joshua Waugh in Montreal, I think, is pretty much run out of rope there. There's too many forward prospects that have passed by him in the depth chart, and I just don't think there's a future there anymore. And I also wonder about Fabian Lysell in Boston, another highly regarded prospect at one point that, again, did not make the cut this year, was sent down. I wonder if he's a player that we could see get a fresh start. Some of these guys could even be moved for each other because they're all kind of in a similar predicament here. So, again, I do expect there to be some more jockeying around in rosters the next few days as teams prepare for their first NHL regular season games for the 25-26 season. So it wouldn't be shocking to see a few more moves. I'm not sure we're going to see anything major just yet. I think it'll be some smaller moves, some tinkering in the coming days, and then we'll get something probably be, once we get 10 to 20 games into the season when there's more potential for a bigger blockbuster type of move to go down, once teams kind of have a better feel for what they have and if they're either meeting or exceeding their expectations. So let me know your thoughts on today's busy day of news, and we'll talk about it further in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.